The 2020 DCI winter meetings have been consequential for DCI's open class. A lot of major decisions have been made, and here to get us caught up is David Edelman, the open class coordinator for Drum Corps International. I'm not overstating that, am I? I mean, this has been a very consequential series of meetings for you guys.
Yes, it has. It starts out with the fact that our voting members in September passed some participation levels that I feel are quite striking for Drum Corps International, because all the years that I've been involved, this is one of the first times that I've seen quite a lot of transparency with how an organization can move up or down through the activity. And for open class, it gives us a few trigger points that tell you what constitutes an open class drum corps.
Okay.
And we've used that in several ways, including the evaluation of our new drum corps or incoming drum corps to Drum Corps International, and also our existing corps.
There's a lot to unpack there, so let's start with the participation levels. What does that mean? That an open class corps will have to have X number of participants to be an open class corps?
Well, that's one of the factors for sure. We're looking at right now, for about the last 2 years, that any new group coming into the activity would have to have a minimum of 50 members. We feel like that's the best level in terms of success in our level of competition, because with 24 corps last year, we had 13 of them with over 100 membership. So the level is growing.
Yeah, the old days of calling the open class corps the little guys, that's not accurate at all anymore, it doesn't sound like.
No, that's not at all an accurate way to describe that level. And the fact also that just the performance level, the training level, and the level of the organizations from a structural or corporate standpoint have grown so much in just the last 10 years, it's really remarkable.
So to be an open class corps, the recommendation would, from the September meeting, or the what was passed in September, was 50 members?
50 members.
Or 55?
In the fall, the voting members was 55.
55.
But we're kind of splitting hairs there, 50, 55. We're in the ballpark for discussion on that.
Right.
Yes, somewhere in that range, approximately a bus load of members, and with the goal, of course, and objective of moving forward to be a larger group and be more comparable to the average size of our corps right now, which is around 100.
Maybe the best way to explain those levels that you talked about, the steps to becoming an open class corps, maybe the best way to illustrate that would be for me to ask you, all right, as I sit here now, I want to form a drum corps. Next year, I'm going to have some kids in, I'm going to teach them how to play brass and percussion, maybe woodwinds, and we're going to start our own drum corps. Dave Edelman, how do I do that?
Well, the first step actually is not necessarily to gather up the kids and get the horns and drums. That's kind of the old school way that we think of this. In this day and age, with the responsibilities and the liabilities that we have with kids traveling on the road, we really are looked at as the pinnacle. I'm thinking of Drum Corps International in general as the pinnacle of the marching arts. And when a student comes to us, they're looking for something bigger and better and beyond what they probably did in high school or maybe even in college. They're expecting something more, and we have to deliver that more. And the way that we advise a group getting started is form a nonprofit corporation, become a youth musical arts activity, and then begin to build from the board of directors to the support in your community, and then open your doors for those kids to start coming in for the training. We sometimes have thrown the training first and then tried to build the organization second, and we really feel like it should be the opposite way.
How does Sound Sport now figure into this overall strategy of becoming an open class corps?
Well, there's where they can get their footing. There's where they can get everything started from the very roots of the organization, the way that they want to begin. Because a Sound Sport group can be anywhere from 5 to 154 members. So there's no restrictions in terms of what they want to do in terms of size. There's no restrictions in terms of instrumentation or anything like that. So they can get started, and they have probably fewer things to deal with in terms of compliance and responsibilities for the organization. Those liability things I was speaking of earlier. So they can get a group started and grow for 2 or 3 years, and then they can come to us. And when I say us at this point, then as open class. And if they want to compete and begin to work and travel at that level, we can advise them on how to do that.
Will we see new open class corps on the field this summer?
Well, we hope so. We've got Phenom from Arizona going through the evaluation process right now. They are affiliated with the academy. They will complete the process in probably early March, but they've been a sound sport group for the last 2 years in 2018 and 2019, and I haven't seen them personally, but I've heard wonderful reports about them.
I did actually get a chance to see them when I went to Arizona. I think it was year before last, and they were already a large group. I mean, I think it's they're a good illustration of what exactly you're talking about that deliberate growth and laying the groundwork first. Of course, having a drum corps as your parent organization helps.
Oh, absolutely it does. And that goes back to those underpinnings, corporate and organizational underpinnings. They had a lot of help from the academy to get started. And they do have a larger group. And that to us is more like what an open class drum corps should look like. So I don't want to speak ahead for them, but I think that they're in really good shape as they're moving forward. And I think that they're a good example so far of really doing things right.
Besides Phenom, are there any others being evaluated right now?
Yes, we have an organization that came to us from DCA, which is an all-age corps from North Carolina called Carolina Gold. And they would like to come into open class, and they have applied and are going through the evaluation process right now. And from what we've heard about them and how they do competitively and the fact that they're a long-standing organization, we feel pretty good about them too, and are hoping that they will have a successful finish in the evaluation process in March as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of unusual for a DCA Core to move over to DCI open class, isn't it? Has it happened before?
You're putting me on the spot to try to remember historically, but it probably hasn't happened very often.
Yeah.
And this particular group, and maybe other DCA groups, I really don't know that much about the activity, but they're younger. The students that they had performing last year, I think they had all members that would qualify for DCI age limitations, but maybe 5. So it seems like they were already functioning much like an open class corps would be functioning in DCI.
Is there a growing relationship between DCI's open class and the DCA corps?
Well, we certainly would encourage that. We've had DCA corps competing in our shows for many summers now. Corps like the Cincinnati tradition. You know, I'm from Ohio and I see them quite a bit. So we do have a working relationship with DCA, and we would certainly encourage them, if they were interested in doing any activities with DCI, to come and talk to us.
How has the new championship city worked out for you guys in Marion?
The new championship city has worked out beautifully. We love Indiana Wesleyan. The campus, everything about it just feels like the kids are coming to a culminating event for championships.
Very cool. Dave, thank you for getting us caught up in open class.
You're quite welcome.
David Edelman, Open Class Coordinator for Drum Corps International.